it's Barbara. Oh, this isn't as close as I thought. Thank you for joining me for coffee. I have a confession. This is my third cup of coffee today because I had some coffee sat and chatted with my sister this morning over coffee and, coffee, and now coffee number 3. I hope you were all well. Coffee's not great. I need to put one drop of sweetener in it. So yesterday went perfectly according to plan. It worked out very well. It was a lovely, lovely day. After I left you, I made Clarine's tortilla casserole. It turns out in the conversation about the casserole with my parents and my sister, we concluded that Clarine's recipe probably called for corn tortillas because it was from the 60s. We didn't think maybe even flour tortillas existed in the United States, even in California, which is where they were when they got that recipe in the 60s. So anyway, I had used flour tortillas. It didn't even occur to me. But I think the recipe was probably written for corn. But they tell me that it was fine, it was delicious, it worked out great. But it was almost like they couldn't hardly tell the tortillas were in there. So I think next time I make it, I'll make it with corn tortillas. But they liked it. I took a piece of our taco pie so I could eat Mexican-ish with them. Daddy loved it, and Mama did too, and it was a nice surprise. So today we're going over for lunch, my sister and I will bring the saran wrap and stuff, and I will cut it all up and put it in their freezer so they can have tortilla casserole whenever they feel like it. So that's the plan for today. Go for lunch, hang out for a little while, and then we're going out to dinner tonight. We have a little bit of a separate room, so I think that's gonna see how fancy I am. I haven't wearing my bracelet. We get loud, as you can imagine, and and I'll feel more comfortable maybe with the COVID. I don't even know. So we're doing that tonight with my brothers and their wives. So we're not gonna get food till 6 o'clock, quarter after 6, so I'm gonna have lunch with my parents. I don't normally eat lunch, but that's a little too late for me to eat. So that's the plan for today, and I'll get their freezer full of tortilla casserole. Daddy guessed the surprise. He'd been laying the hints on pretty thick, so I'm not surprised. Anyway, we had a lovely visit with them in the afternoon. Well, I didn't get there till about 4 o'clock. The drive was great. It rained a little bit a couple of times, no big deal. And I actually got here a little earlier, so I was able to check into the hotel before I went to visit the parents. And I made one quick trip up. I brought the filter fan up. And so I had it running full blast so that when we came back after dinner, I didn't have to wear my mask till it had a chance to clear, recycle the air. So that was good. So that's been going all night, and it'll be going all day while I'm gone. I don't know how the air circulation is here, or they just have a little window unit underneath the window. So anyway, I'm sure they're not filtering the air terrifically, so I'm going to keep the filter on in here. Then I ran over and, I got there at 4 o'clock, like I said. We were there till about 7:30, and we had a very, very nice visit. My father's funny. When I had talked to him on Friday night, he said, I have a couple things for you to do while you're here. And I'm like, okay, that's great. So as I was leaving, he said, are you going to tell him about the dehumidifier? I said, well, I won't if you don't want me to. Finally, he realized that it would be fine. I guess he doesn't watch my vlog, although we talked about my vlog while I was there, so we put on yesterday's vlog, which was particularly boring on a very giant television with people who really, are like, what is this? So I'm sorry I was so boring yesterday, everybody. So anyway, I'm like, if you don't want me to talk about it, I won't. And he's like, oh, it's fine. So anyway, he had these projects in mind, and he's developing a grocery list, so I'll go grocery shopping, that kind of thing. He said, but I bought this dehumidifier, and it's telling me it's full, and I don't know what to do about it, or whatever, something like that. I'm like, okay. And he said, well, not today, when you come back, when you have time. I'm like, well, let me just look at it, see. Now, I'm not the person who does this in my house. This is Dennis's job. He's the, Daddy started calling me the engineer. So I get up to walk over to the dehumidifier. He says, oh, and here's the instructions. You're a woman. You might even read them. and read the instructions. He plugged it in, and it ran for a while, and then it gave him a message. It was full. So it's just a little gizmo. It's not very tall. It's about 18 inches tall, maybe 24 inches tall, a little compact, white, shiny little machine with some digital stuff on the top. So I look at the front, it's all completely, seamless or whatever. So I turn it around, and there's like a panel in the back. You can see that there's a panel in the back. So I'm trying to open that panel, and then I notice there are two handholds. So I put my hands in the handhold and pull it out, and voila, there's a drawer full of water. I'm like, Daddy, it is full. Here. Anyway, so I dumped it out, and we restarted, and he puttered around with it, and we put it on for about an hour, and it got about that much water. I mean, initially, he bought it because it was muggy in there, because we're in this transition season. And so it pulled a lot of water out when he first turned it on, so hopefully it won't refill quite as fast as it did. But anyway, we ran it for about an hour. It had about that much water in the bottom of it, and so when I go over there, I'll check it out and see if he's if it got full, and if he's able to empty it. It wasn't a very big reservoir, which is why it got full relatively fast, so it shouldn't be might not be too heavy for him to do and not spill it. And he has it sitting right there, basically next to his sink, so it should work. But anyway, he's like, oh, I thought that was you would need time for that, and I'm like, he's like, oh, you're an engineer. I'm like, I'm not the engineer in my family normally. just I just turned it around, and he's like, oh, okay, all right, fine. Anyway, it was pretty funny, but his crack about you're a woman, you might actually read the directions. But I didn't, I was already in the kitchen by the time he said that, so I didn't even need the directions. Anyway, it was pretty funny, but maybe not quite so funny for you guys, but we were laughing. Anyway, so we had a very nice visit, and my sister and I came back over here, called my brother, but he was, I'm all settled in, I'll see you tomorrow night. And so we came back here and had a martini, and I got all the rest of my stuff into the room and got settled in, so that worked out great. And so we talked for quite a while, but I did not sleep last night. But, it wasn't the kind of sleep where you just lay there and say, I can't believe I'm not sleeping. It was like, your mind's going, and you're laying there, and you realize, gee, I haven't slept. And then you don't think about it for a while, and then, gee, I haven't slept. So I probably slept more than I thought, but it was just very episodic. Anyway, whatever. So this morning, my sister is a breakfast eater, and she was and the breakfast ends at 9 o'clock here, and I'm like, oh, and I didn't sleep, and I don't want to get up, and then I'm starting to worry because I hear thunder outside because it's a rainy day today, and I hadn't seen like coffee pots or anything in the lobby of the hotel, and I'm like, if they do not have coffee in that lobby after 9 o'clock, I'm gonna have to go out to get coffee, because they have the little machine here, but anyway, so I called the front desk, and they have coffee 24/7. I'm like, okay, good. So, but I went down, and she had already finished eating, and met up with her. So we sat here for a little while, and then now we're getting ready before we go for lunch with my parents. So that's the plan for today. Eating's the plan. We're going for lunch, and we're going out to dinner. My brother, my one brother is about 2 hours away. They're coming up, and anyway. So I'll see. So all the kids will be together, which doesn't happen very often for my parents. So they will like that, and except Dennis. No Dennis. So there you go. That's what happened. And the plans for today. are small. You can see I have my projects. There's kind of a shelf back here, so I put my project bags back there. I'm going to be, oh, and I did print my HAPS, the book part of the HAPS book, so I brought that along so I can read my HAPS book and work on my projects. I think I'm going to, I did sort of phase 1 of my along the edge cowl, which is this one that Megan turned me on to. I did the first phase of it and I haven't picked it up again because I went back and finished my sweater, but now I've got to read the directions and see what happens next, because it does have some patterning or whatever. I've obviously been doing this part, and this one is made back and forth and then you seam it to turn it into a cowl. So I think I'll be working on that today. I was a little concerned because sometimes in hotel rooms they don't have very good light, but I have a nice light here that's bright enough for me to work, do my stitching or whatever if I want to, so I'm all settled in. So you don't have to worry about that. All right. I'm so sorry I was so boring yesterday. Oh my gosh. Oh well, you're used to it. What can I say? I can say, please take good care of yourselves. Please, please stay safe and stay safe.